How to handle a woman who hurts you. Reclaim power the Stoic way. Stoic Bloom, Part 1. The moment you pulled away, everything changed. You might think she doesn't care, that your silence meant nothing. But what if I told you that very silence is shaking her deeper than you realize? At first, she acted unbothered, like your absence didn't matter. She laughed, posted, lived her life as if she never lost anything. But the moment you stopped chasing, the moment you stopped explaining and proving your worth, that's when the shift happened. That's when your silence became her storm. Because nothing unsettles a woman more than a man who knows his worth and walks away without noise. Your stillness triggers her deepest fears. Did I misjudge him? Why isn't he chasing me? Did I really lose him? She thought she had time. She assumed you'd always be around. But now she's the one watching, overthinking, spiraling, scrolling through old memories, waiting for a message that never comes. And the longer you remain calm, the more it breaks her composure. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And when you choose silence over reaction, presence over pleading, you become that man. Not because you're playing games, but because you've reclaimed the one thing she never expected you to hold: your power. If you've ever been hurt by someone who thought you'd always stay, this is your moment to show them what happens when a man finally chooses himself. Like this message if it spoke to your worth. Drop a comment. What did silence teach you? Subscribe to Stoic Bloom and stay connected to wisdom that empowers you. Stoic Bloom, where silence becomes strength and heartbreak becomes your rebirth. Part 2. The silent shift of power. It doesn't happen all at once. Power doesn't announce itself with noise. It arrives in stillness. The moment you stopped responding, something subtle began to unfold. She didn't expect it. Most women don't. She expected resistance, questions, pleas, anger. But what she got was your quiet. And nothing is louder than the silence of a man who refuses to lower his standards for validation. Now she's scanning your social media not out of curiosity but confusion. She's replaying old conversations, not with nostalgia but with doubt. The very thing she once took for granted, your attention, is now absent. And its absence has weight. As Epictetus observed, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Your silence, that's your declaration of freedom. You're no longer trying to fix what wasn't yours to repair. You've detached from the illusion that her reaction defines your worth. When a man reclaims his time, his focus, and his energy, he becomes unpredictable, mysterious, magnetic. Because a man who doesn't chase becomes the one they chase. So don't just stay quiet, grow in your silence. Level up your mind, strengthen your purpose. She'll notice, but more importantly, you'll notice. And that changes everything. If you've ever gone quiet and felt your power return, share your story below. Let's remind each other that silence is not weakness, it's transformation. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom and never forget, the quieter you become, the more she hears you. Stoic Bloom, where presence speaks louder than words. Part 3. When she starts to feel the weight of losing you, it always starts small. A pause before she texts, a longer look at your story, a sudden shift in the tone of her voice. But make no mistake, something is stirring inside her. She's starting to feel what you once felt. That gnawing sense of absence. The gap you left isn't just physical, it's energetic. And now that you're no longer feeding her ego with attention, she's hungry for something she never thought she'd crave. your presence. You see, most people don't realize what they had until silence replaces it. And now she's wondering, did I go too far? Is he really done? What if he's moving on for real? This isn't about revenge. This is about reflection. Your stillness has become her mirror. She's seeing herself clearly now, and it's uncomfortable. Because for the first time, she's no longer in control of the emotional current. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And she's realizing she wasted yours. Let her sit with that. Let her feel it, not out of malice, but because it's the only way she'll grow. Pain, when faced with truth, transforms. So hold your line, stay grounded, keep evolving. If she truly values you, she'll return with humility, not pride. And if she doesn't, you've already won. You've mastered the art of letting go. Have you ever watched someone finally feel the weight of your absence? Tell us below. Your story might be the reminder someone else needs. Like, share, and hit that bell so you never miss another lesson in strength. Stoic Bloom, where absence isn't loss, it's leverage. Part 4, when she reaches out, but you're no longer there. It often starts with something small, a casual, hey, a meme she sends out of nowhere, a just checking in after weeks of silence. And for a moment, your heart might flicker. Is this real? Is she coming back? But stop. Breathe. This isn't the moment to react. It's the moment to reflect. Because if you've done the work, if you've been healing, growing, rising, then she's not coming back to the same man. She's reaching out to a version of you that no longer waits by the phone. She may not even be aware of it, but what she's doing is checking if she still has access. Access to your energy, your emotions, your forgiveness. And if you're not careful, your progress. But the Stoic man doesn't return to what broke him just because it comes knocking politely. He doesn't hand over his power for the comfort of old feelings. He stands still, assesses, and moves only if it aligns with his principles. Epictetus once warned, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. When she reaches out, the real question isn't, what does she want? The real question is, do I still want to give what she used to take for granted? This is not bitterness. This is wisdom. It's choosing your peace over her curiosity. It's understanding that not every return deserves a reopening, because sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Has she ever circled back just to see if the door was still open? Tell us how you handled it. Like, comment, and subscribe to Stoic Bloom, the space where men don't just react, they rise. Stoic Bloom. Because moving on isn't cold, it's clarity. Part 5, when her mind starts replaying everything. You're silent, focused, present in your own world, and while it may seem like nothing's happening on the surface, her mind is loud. She's replaying everything. The good moments, the bad ones, the messages she ignored, the calls she didn't return. That one time she rolled her eyes when you opened up. All of it, looping in her memory now like a film she never knew would become important. And here's the shift. Before, she was in control of the narrative. But now you've become the mystery. You're not texting, not explaining, not chasing. You've become the unspoken what if in her quiet hours. She scrolls your stories not because she's bored, but because she's bothered. She wants to know if you've moved on, if someone else now gets the version of you she dismissed. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And you, my friend, are not trying to make her feel what you felt. You're just living. And that in itself becomes the most powerful echo in her mind. Let her wonder, Let her overthink. Let her realize that your silence wasn't punishment. It was protection. You didn't pull away to teach her a lesson. You walked away to preserve your peace. Because once a man learns how to sit with himself and still feel whole, no apology, no closure, no sudden message can shake that foundation. And when her mind begins to spiral, it won't be your words that echo. It'll be your absence. It'll be the version of you she can no longer reach. Ever been haunted by the silence of someone you underestimated? She's feeling that now. Let us know how you turned your absence into power. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom and join a tribe of men who turn heartbreak into higher ground. Stoic Bloom, where your silence becomes her loudest memory. Part 6, when you rise without needing her back. This is where the game truly changes, not because she said something, but because you no longer need her to say anything at all. You're rising, quietly, daily. Not to prove a point, but because something inside you finally shifted. You've stopped asking, will she come back? And started asking, how far can I go without her? Your workouts hit different. Your mind is clearer. You're investing in your goals. You're laughing again, but not to mask pain. You're laughing because you remembered. You were never broken, just briefly distracted. And as you rise, you'll realize something powerful. You're not the same man anymore. The version of you she left, he's no longer here. In his place stands someone with quiet confidence, focused energy, and an aura that doesn't chase, it commands. Seneca once said, as is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. In this chapter of your life, it's not about who hurt you, it's about how you healed, how you chose growth instead of revenge, peace instead of chaos. She may see you now, glowing, grounded, and she may want back in. But the man you are today no longer looks for validation in the rearview mirror, because real healing doesn't need closure. It doesn't seek applause. It simply moves forward with grace and strength. Let her watch. Let the world watch. But don't slow down to be seen. Keep rising. For you. Have you ever outgrown someone so deeply that going back felt impossible? Share your moment. Someone out there needs that proof today. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, where men don't rebound, they rise. Stoic Bloom, because elevation makes explanations unnecessary. Part 7, when she realizes it's too late. It doesn't hit her when you go silent. It doesn't even hit her when you start pulling away. It hits her when she realizes you're never coming back. Not in the same way, not with the same heart, not with the same blind loyalty she once took for granted. She might scroll your page one night and see a light in your eyes that she no longer recognizes. She might hear from a friend that you've been doing well, glowing even. No bitterness, no drama, just peace. And that's when the weight sinks in. You didn't move on to make her feel small. You moved on because staying small to keep her comfortable was no longer an option. She'll try to reconnect, maybe with subtle questions or light nostalgia. But you're no longer playing that game. The energy has changed. The timeline has shifted. The bridge she once crossed so easily is gone. As Marcus Aurelius once reflected, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. You didn't clap back. You didn't expose her. You just evolved. And evolution is the one thing no one can reverse. Let her feel it, not because you're cruel, but because she needs to see what losing a good man truly costs. Her realization is not your responsibility to fix. Her regret is not your burden to absorb. You were open, honest, present. She had her chance. Now she gets to live with the echo of what could have been. Has someone ever realized too late what they lost in you? Drop your story below. Your journey might be someone's survival guide. Like, comment, and subscribe to Stoic Bloom, the space where wisdom outlasts the noise. Stoic Bloom, because not everyone deserves a second access to your greatness. Part 8. The conclusion. Your silence was never empty. By now you've learned something most men never do. Silence isn't passive. Distance isn't weakness. Letting go isn't giving up. Every step away from her was a step back to yourself. She may never say it out loud, but she felt it. The shift, the absence, the growing weight of everything she didn't value when it was right in front of her. And you didn't beg for closure. You didn't collapse into blame. You just walked forward with dignity. And that was everything. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." And your ambition wasn't just to get over her, it was to become untouchable, not in arrogance, but in peace. Or to prove her wrong, but to prove to yourself that you never needed someone to remember you, to never be forgotten. Let her wonder, let her scroll, let her realize in her own time that what she lost was never just attention. It was a presence, a stillness, a man she may never find again. And you don't need applause. You don't need revenge. You've already won. You rose. You healed. You stayed silent. And in that silence, you became unstoppable. If this journey mirrored yours, share it. Someone out there needs your quiet strength. Like this message if you found power in walking away. Subscribe to Stoic Bloom, where real men rise through wisdom, not noise. Share this video with someone who needs to hear you don't lose value when someone leaves. You find it when you finally choose yourself. Stoic Bloom, where philosophy meets the heart. Speak less, move deeper, rise always.